Good day. We are from Mapúa University, and this video is for the partial fulfillment of our requirements for the course People in Earth's Ecosystems. We are Group 1 from Section A50 under Mr. Dante Bernabe, and our info video is entitled Drowning in Our Footprints, the Environmental Impacts of Human Water Practices. First, let us define the term anthropogenic. Anthropogenic means of, relating to, or resulting from the influence of human beings on nature. In this info video, we will be discussing anthropogenic effects on our water ecosystems and how it becomes destructive, as well as ways on how you can prevent the negative effects on water. Specifically, these are the contents that we will be discussing on our info video.
In this topic, we're talking about the overexploitation of resources or overfishing. So in the introduction, what is overexploitation? Overexploitation is, or overfishing is the removal of marine living resources which occurs when harvesting of natural plant and animal species exceed reproduction, remains a significant threat to biodiversity and endangered species at risk of extinction. Based on current research, over 400 marine species are used for food compared to tens on land, because due to lack of effective regulations, policies, and enforcement. Overexploitation of marine biodiversity is significantly less regulated than on land, and equivalent to the hunter-gatherer stage humanity fled on land over 10,000 years ago. Yet overexploitation technology has grown so advanced that many marine species are in risk of extinction. Primitive food gathering habits have long-term impacts that have not been considered. Overexploitation of marine living resources has resulted from exponential development of the human population over the past several decades in order to satisfy the rising demand for food. The overexploitation effects. If done improperly, any fishing can overexploit marine life. Target species are particularly affected by overexploitation of marine resources. Fishing effects are direct or indirect. Target bycatch species have direct effects. The direct effects are target species recruitment increases, taking larger individuals and overfishing populations. Recruitment of overfishing occurs when adult populations are overfished and cannot reproduce. The fishing gear can scrape, scour, and recover substratum. The indirect effects are ghost fishing. Ghost fishing is when occurs when fishermen leave gear in the water, as you can see in the image. In weak light, these nets might trapped on a reef or float in the water. They may trap fish, dolphins, sea turtles, sharks, dugongs, crocodiles, seagulls, crabs, and even divers. As intended, the nets limit movement, causing malnutrition, laceration, infection, and asphyxia in individuals who must return to the surface to breathe. These numbers should be used with caution due to their incompleteness.
For habitat destruction, human activities such as habitat destruction, pollution, overfishing, and climate change are all having significant effects or impacts on aquatic ecosystem and the plants and animals that inhabit them. Habitat destruction, in particular, can have several harmful effects on bodies of water and aquatic life. So next, what are the effects of habitat destruction? When natural habitats such as wetlands, mangroves, and coral reef are destroyed or degraded, it can have a far-reaching consequences for the health aquatic ecosystems. These habitats provide critical breeding, feeding, and nursery grounds for many fish and other aquatic organisms. Destructions of these habitats can also lead to decline in fish pollution and even extinction of some species. Habitat destruction can also lead to loss of essential ecosystem services that aquatic systems provide, such as water filtration, erosion control, and nutrient cycling. This can lead to water issues including increased nutrients pollution and harmful algal blooms, which can also be toxic to fish and other aquatic life. Additionally, the loss of habitat can make aquatic ecosystems more vulnerable to invasive species, which can outcompete native species and disrupt the ecosystem's delicate balance. In short, habitat destruction in aquatic ecosystem can have numerous negative impacts on health and vitality of the system, leading to declines in fish pollution, water quality issues, and a loss of important ecosystem services.
Bodies of water around the world, whether it be oceans, rivers, or lakes, are facing a major problem: plastic pollution. Plastic waste is choking on these water bodies, and the consequences are often dire. First is the impact on marine life. Plastic pollution in bodies of water has a devastating effect on marine life. Marine animals often mistake plastic for food, and they ingest it, which can cause blockages in their digestive systems and ultimately lead to their death. Microplastics, which are tiny plastic particles that have broken down over time, are also harmful to marine life. Fish and other marine animals can mistake these particles for food, and they can enter the food chain, ultimately ending up on our plate. Another is the impact on human health. Plastic pollution in bodies of water also has a significant impact on human health. When we eat fish or other seafood that have ingested microplastics, we too are consuming these harmful particles. Studies suggest that microplastics can contain toxic chemicals, and they can accumulate in our bodies over time, potentially leading to long-term health problems. In addition, plastic waste in bodies of water can also lead to the spread of diseases. Trash and other waste materials provide a breeding ground for bacteria and other harmful pathogens that can contaminate the water and ultimately make people sick. Another is the impact on the environment. Plastic pollution in bodies of water has a significant impact on the environment. Plastic waste doesn't biodegrade, meaning it doesn't break down naturally over time. Instead, it breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which can take hundreds or thousands of years to decompose. This means that plastic waste in bodies of water can accumulate over time, leading to long-term environmental damage. Furthermore, plastic pollution can also impact the ecosystem, disrupting the natural balance and potentially leading to the extinction of certain species.
How dams affect the environment. A dam is a barrier that stops and restricts the flow of surface of water or underground streams. Reservoirs created by dams not only suppress floods, but also provide water for activities such as irrigation, human consumption, industrial use, aquaculture, and navigability. Dams block rivers. Dams prevent fish migration. This limits their ability to access spawning habitat, seek out food resources, and escape predation. Fish passage structures can enable a percentage of fish to pass around the dam, but their effectiveness decreases depending on the species of fish and the number of dams fish have to traverse. Construction of dams. Dams change the way rivers function. They can trap sediment-bearing rock riverbeds where fish spawn. Gravel, logs, and other important food and habitat features can also become trapped behind dams. This negatively affects the creation and maintenance of more complex habitat. Dams impact water quality. Slow-moving or still reservoirs can heat up, resulting in abnormal temperature fluctuations, which can affect sensitive species. These can lead to algae blooms and decreased oxygen levels. Other dams decrease temperatures by releasing cooled oxygen-deprived water from the reservoir bottom.
Oil spills. Oil spills are a major environmental problem that can have devastating effects on marine life and ecosystems. When oil is spilled into the ocean, it can spread quickly, forming a slick on the surface of the water that can be carried by currents for long distances. These oil slick can be toxic to marine organisms, suffocating them by blocking their gills or causing damage to their internal organs. The effects of oil spills can be seen throughout the food chain. Plankton and other small organisms at the base of the food chain can be killed or disrupted by the oil, leading to a decline in the populations of larger organisms that depend on them for food. Fish, birds, and other animals that come into contact with the oil can suffer from respiratory problems, skin irritation, and other health issues. Sea turtles and marine mammals like dolphins and whales are particularly vulnerable to the impacts of oil spills, as they may ingest of the oil while feeding or inhale toxic fumes at the surface. Oil spills can also have a long-term impacts on marine ecosystems. Oil can persist in the environment for years, continuing to harm marine life and habitats long after the initial spill. In addition, the cleanup efforts used to contain and remove the oil can also have a negative impacts on the environment, as chemicals and other pollutants may be used in the process. The effects of oil spills can be seen throughout the food chain. Plankton and other small organisms at the base of the food chain can be killed or disrupted by the oil, leading to a decline in the populations of larger organisms that depend on them for food. Fish, birds, and other animals that come into contact with the oil can suffer from respiratory problems, skin irritation, and other health issues. Sea turtles and marine mammals like dolphins and whales are particularly vulnerable to the impacts of oil spills, as they may ingest of the oil while feeding or inhale toxic fumes at the surface.
In the ocean, many marine mammals and other species rely on their hearing for survival. Sound is critical for communication, navigation, locating prey, avoiding predators, and finding mates. Mammals and marine life depend upon sound for communication and survival underwater. Sound itself is not the critical issue. However, the problem arises when sounds turn into noise. There is now increasing evidence that human activities, known as anthropogenically generated sounds, are having a significant acoustic impact. The biodiversity of the ocean is threatened by underwater noise pollution, especially from ships and other vessels, fishing boats, military activities, oil rigs, and seismic surveys. The first underwater noise pollution effect that we will discuss is the changes in behaviors of mammals underwater. There is considerable evidence to suggest that anthropogenic sounds impacts on marine mammals' behavior underwater, whether to a small extent or significantly. Such behaviors include diving, surfacing, vocalizing, feeding, and mating. Impacts on reproduction, breeding, and population. Acoustic communication often plays a crucial role in reproductive interactions of marine life. Over 800 species of fish have been found to communicate acoustically. Lastly, injury and mortality. Ocean noise pollution has the potential to induce temporary hearing loss if it is loud or long enough in duration. Research from a 2006 study found that temporary and permanent hearing loss in marine mammals resulted in a reduction in a foraging efficiency, reproductive potential, social cohesion, and ability to detect predators.
Everyone understands that clean water is vitally important. Yet, many things we do can contribute to the water pollution differently. This is an easy and inexpensive way to protect water by doing certain things at home and in the community. Ways to prevent or minimize the negative effects of human activities to the body of water. First, dispose of toxic chemicals properly. Household solvents, pesticides, and cleaners might seem okay, but bleach, paint thinner, ammonia, and many chemicals are becoming a severe problem. If you combine millions of people every month dumping toxic chemicals down the drain or flushing them down the toilet, the effects add up. This is why proper disposal is essential. Second, try to avoid plastic containers. Plastic shopping bags and plastic rings from 6 packs of beverages causes excessive problems in the nation's lakes and seas. Plastic bottles can last for decades in the water. Okay? Plant some trees. Trees reduce erosion that washes pollution into the water and reduces erosion. You can also volunteer your time in a local tree planting effort. Plant trees, bushes, or grass along the bank if you own land along a river or pond. Next is support environmental charities. No matter where you live in the country, charities will work on watershed protection, water pollution cleanup, and similar causes. Find an organization that's active in your area and donate every year. Your support may even lead to expanded anti-pollution work. And lastly, report water polluters. Many cases of illegal waste disposal and other pollution go unreported and often aren't cleaned up. Report people who pour oil in storm drains, toss trash bags in the stream, and many more, etc. Thousands have lived without love, not one without water.